Hey everyone, this is the Kaze Blade. I just wanted to go ahead and quickly go over my thoughts on the new Sonic Forces footage that dropped today, revealing the third playstyle, which is a custom character. You are going to be able to create your own Sonic OC in Sonic Forces, complete with whatever species you want, with various different gear and styles, and different abilities based on the species you choose and the gear you choose. It was a pretty big deal today in the Sonic fandom. It's going to appeal to a very vocal section of the Sonic fan base, and I just wanted to quickly go over my thoughts on it and my thoughts on Sonic Forces in general based on this new information. Now, I want to preface this with the fact that this is actually a rumor that's been going around for a long time. I remember listening to the Sega Bits YouTube channel, I want to say a month or two ago, where this was one of the main rumors that was cropping up as a possibility for the third gameplay style. And as soon as I heard it, I basically knew that that was going to be the new play style, just because it was so unique, yet simultaneously made so much sense for Sega to do that all the other options just sounded not realistic by comparison. You know, you had the people who really wanted the adventure style to be the third one, but Iizuka basically shut that down very quickly, and I just knew there was a 0% chance of that happening. And then there were other people who were saying it was just going to be a third new character, which I also was not completely convinced that was going to be the case, just because ever since Sonic 06, Sonic Team has remained pretty consistently gun shy about adding additional main characters to play as, basically ever since Sonic Unleashed. And I didn't really see anything change in terms of how they view it lately to lead me to believe that it was going to be a third main traditional new character. And I knew that there was absolutely no chance of it being a recurring Sonic character, just because there's no balance with having two Sonics and then one single existing Sonic character. Like, it would make no sense to have two Sonics and Tails, or two Sonics and Knuckles, or two Sonics and Shadow. There's just a lack of symmetry there that as soon as I was thinking of that possibility, I just knew that wasn't going to be the case. So basically how this is going to work is you basically get another modern Sonic style of gameplay, but with more of an emphasis on platforming, is what I'm gathering from this. Having the type of gear that basically lets you Spider-Man your way all around, and, you know, grapple hook over ravines and things like that. It's very interesting. There's a lot of verticality to what I'm seeing in this footage right now. What it reminds me of is kind of the challenge acts from Sonic Generations, you know, where you have the chunks of levels from the main game where of classic Sonic and modern Sonic, but they're kind of remixed, and then they kind of slapdash little challenges inside those. That's exactly what I'm thinking of with kind of like the random placements of some of the grappling points. It just feels very haphazard to me. Not a big fan of the way that the level design is looking for this third character style. But that's basically all that we have on this new playstyle for now. So I just kind of want to go over my thoughts both on this new style and as well as my thoughts on Sonic Forces in general based on this new information that we're getting. It really does not change how I feel about Sonic Forces in general. If you listen to my original Sonic Forces video, my position on that has remained basically unchanged. Again, I think that the inclusion of all of these different styles is basically helping Sonic Team avoid the chore of figuring out what modern Sonic actually is and how to define it and what the brand identity is going to be. To be fair, this is a problem that Sonic Team has had basically ever since Sonic Adventure, where they basically substitute the main gameplay with additional gameplay styles, pad out gameplay to make it easier on development so they can reuse assets, things like that. I understand the practical use for it, but I don't necessarily agree with it, and I think that it's bad for the series overall. Now, as for my thoughts on the third playstyle itself, having Sonic OCs in an official Sonic game, I can't say that it resonates with me personally very much, but I understand why Sonic Team did it, and I actually have to applaud them for doing so. Again, the Sonic OC community is a very, very vocal part of the Sonic fan base. There's just a lot of people that love Sonic OCs. And so I have to applaud Sonic Team for being savvy enough to be aware that a very large part of their fan base love this kind of stuff, and implementing it into the game is actually a very good business move on their end. So kudos, Sonic Team. You may not listen to some of the more fundamental parts of what the Sonic fan base want, but when it comes to the very outspoken, you can definitely turn it around. So very impressive. Again, it's not my cup of tea. It's very good for 12 or 13-year-olds, but I'm a 26-year-old old school Sonic fan. This was never meant for me. I'm aware of that. It's a kid's character. They're gonna go with what the kids want, and what the very specific website communities of Sonic fan bases want. It's not my thing, but I understand why it's there. I'm not going to argue too much about that. The thing that I have the most questions about is basically how this is going to work from a structural standpoint. Are you going to be playing primarily as this third character, where this is going to be the brunt of the gameplay, basically the gatekeeper to the big events, the meat of the game, which is going to be Sonic, Modern Sonic and Classic Sonic? Or is this going to be treated like Sonic Generations challenge acts, where basically you have the main acts and then you have these little offshoots that you play as with your OC? There's not a lot of indication about how this is going to work, but I am very curious about it. That's really all I have on this. Not a fan. Again, understand why they did it. Doesn't change my overall views of Sonic Forces, that it is a walking, talking identity crisis, but I don't necessarily think that any of the mechanics themselves look all that unsound. I dislike this stuff on a precedent and conceptual, but I don't think that Sonic Forces is going to be a bad game from a gameplay perspective, just a very confused game, one that really doesn't know what to do. Doesn't really know what the best course of action is going forward, and therefore, everything in the kitchen sink is getting thrown in. Again, the reason Classic Sonic is in there is because Sonic Team doesn't really understand what made Sonic Generations so successful, and they don't realize that the Classic fans are going to get more than their fill from Sonic Mania that's going to do Classic a lot better than this one is, just based on the physics that we've seen and the type of, haphazard level design that we've seen for Classic Sonic. Modern Sonic, again, we've only seen a very, very small snippet of Modern Sonic gameplay, but it is very, what we've seen is very linear and not nearly as open as something like, say, modern Seaside Hill from Generations, which I hold to be the best 3D Sonic level design ever made. So, it's overall, I think it's going to be an okay game. It's not going to set the world on fire. It's not going to plunge Sonic into another dark age. It's just going to be a very white noise type of game like Lost World, but for very different reasons. That's really all I've got on Sonic Forces. My regular scripted content is going to be on its way in the next couple of weeks. I've got a couple of videos in the works that I think is going to be very interesting, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. But for the time being, that is all I've got, so have a good one.